It's Monday, July 8th. You've got Goose, you've got Coach, and you're inside the core. Goose, what's going on, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, I know, right? Feels like a little while. And you know what's really cool about that is that people have been asking, hey, what's going on with the core? How come we haven't heard anything from the core? So I got a couple of replies for that. You got anything that you want to share?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I know you're going to kind of let everybody fill everybody in on what to expect from the core now, but it was kind of a blessing in my opinion, a little bit that I had some issues with my family. I know you kind of took a vacation, and then me and you kind of put our heads together and said, "Hey, man, you know what? Let's add some spice to this show." And we've kind of been working on that for the last couple of weeks. And why don't you kind of tell them what we got in mind now?
All right, so here's the idea. We're going to go and try and provide useful information about what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. It's the core, so you're going to get the latest Zell news, but we figure, why don't we add a little bit more about what's going on? Because we don't live on an island, right? I mean, it's not just Zell for us. Like we all are affected by what happens in the cryptocurrency space, so it's going to be good to report on some of these things. And we think that we've got a format that's going to really serve everyone who listens well. So we hope that you guys like what we got in store for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's kind of dive right on in. Just looking at some of the top five and bottom five, unfortunately, cryptos. What are you kind of looking at there?
All right, so looks like right now the number one gainer, and this is crazy, but a coin called Constant Coin is up 745%.
That doesn't even sound real.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But it's actually something that's kind of shocking. Yeah, or is it really? Constant is a coin that is peer-to-peer lending. Now, I'm not going to scream pickle neck, but I just want to kind of say, beware of stuff like this, because this is not what crypto was made for. Gain interest on lending your crypto. Oh, boy, isn't that exactly what we're trying to avoid with this space?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hate when you see some of these projects come along because you probably probably catches some people that are in the infancy stage of kind of understanding what crypto is all about, and maybe people desperate to chase a buck, and this is just kind of taking advantage. And I don't know enough about the platform, so I don't want to totally slam it there, but be careful.
Cautious,
make sure
please. Yes.
make sure you're doing your investigation when you're rolling through some of these projects. Just this space, man, you got to be careful.
Do your own research. I had a guy contact me on my Discord today and said, what do you think about lending? How do I gain interest? I'm like, well, you know what? Obviously, this guy must have heard about one of these lending platforms. So, hey, listen, it wasn't too long ago we were dealing with quote unquote lending scams left and right. So let's try and be very, very cautious of these things. And whenever you see triple digit percentages, 745% gain on this thing, that should really throw up a huge alarm. When you see that hockey stick, everybody wants that moon ride, right? I want to get on that rocket. But boy, This is just looking very dangerous. Number 2 spot, Natman Pure Escrow, 345% up.
Yeah, that's what you would call another big gainer.
Yeah, definitely. Locust Chain right after that at 251%. And that's followed by Japan Content Token at 71% and Tidex Token at 66%. So these last two are probably a little bit more in the realistic realm of what you can expect for newer coins or newer tokens that are popping up onto the scene. You're going to see that jump early on, and then later on you see things kind of even out. But boy, Constant, watch out.
Yeah, beware, buyer beware, for sure. What we're looking at here on the top or bottom five losers, or top five losers, I don't even know how to say that right.
Well, these guys are definitely at the bottom. We're looking at Cloak Coin down 47%. Lit Ion, which is down 35%. And this is a coin that has a max cap of around, I think the market cap is around 5 million. And they have a little over 2 million in volume. So almost half of the coin is likely dumped. So
Yeah.
interesting. And then Piton. Not sure. No, I'm not really familiar with Piton, but that's down 28%.
Okay.
Then we got Insights Network down 27%, and Serve down 22%. So top 5 biggest losers for today.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, these coins all have. I've never heard of majority of these coins, probably except Cloak Coin. All have some pretty good volume. So, clearly there's people out there that's making trades or potentially bots. I don't know. I mean, but we are kind of just talking about these. So, listeners, just do your own research. We're definitely not endorsing any of these projects.
Nope. This is really bringing attention to what's happening in crypto, and I think that definitely brings to light the fact that you do need to research these things, because what's causing the price to jump or or in this case pump or dump, right? Like what is causing all that action, and you got to get to the bottom of that. And a lot of times when you see those kind of rapid changes, it's a red flag. You got to be very careful. Unless, of course, it's something like a halvening happened, like Litecoin, which is coming up, right? Or next year when we see the Bitcoin halvening, you're going to see some pretty interesting jumps in the price. So that'll be something that we cover as we get closer to those dates.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely would love for Goose to introduce this new section that we're adding to the podcast. I'm really excited about it. But Goose, tell us a little bit more about what we got coming next.
All right, yeah, it's a friend of mine, Mrsotko Cryptocurrency, and he does a really fine job of analyzing crypto news and providing quality commentary. So we really hope that you enjoy what he has to say about these articles. Take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mrsotko here, bringing you some crypto news, and I would like to thank ZellHub for having me on the podcast and providing news to all of their subscribers. The first thing I want to talk about is that Tron calls the police to protect their Beijing office against an angry mob. So the Tron office in Beijing has officially been surrounded by police as a crowd gathered to protest against a Chinese Ponzi scheme that went under a Tron-like name. So videos with crowds surrounded by police officers in the Tron's office have spread across Twitter, with people apparently coming to express outrage at a local crypto scam that reportedly led to $30 million worth of losses and, unfortunately, one suicide. And as can be seen in the videos, people are apparently considering Tron to be the fraudulent entity, with the crowd reportedly yelling, "Tron is a scam." Tron CEO Justin commented, "Tron Foundation and BitTorrent is fine. Everything is fine. We are preparing for BitTorrent speed launch today. Stop spreading fake news and pictures." As there are a few articles out there saying that the police raided the Tron building, whereas it seems to be that a riot raided the building and the police are trying to protect it from it. So I'll have more information on that at a later date. So Tron CEO response has followed reports on the alleged crypto scheme known as Wavefield Supercommunity, which was associated with Tron by local investors, since in China, Tron is reportedly known by the name Wavefield. So, according to the report by Chinese news agency Nuclear Finance, Wavefield Supercommunity was launched in January 2019, claiming to be a super representative of Tron, while investors claim to have asked Tron to clarify on the connection between the entities. Justin Sun has reportedly not commented on the issue since January. So based on that, angry people went to Tron's office to express their resentment about the company's silence over the scam entity operating under a similar name. So even on Twitter here, I can see multiple videos of police standing around the office. One woman seemingly being trapped inside of the office, or maybe she is preventing from going inside the office. It's hard to tell. There is somebody preventing a woman from getting inside or exiting. I'm not really quite sure. And there are many people arguing just outside the Tron Center in China as well, with police barricading the door. So an angry riot on Tron at the moment. So moving on here, new ECB boss, Christine Lagarde, could enact Bitcoin-friendly regulation. So the recently nominated European Central Bank president, Christine Lagarde, has a history of making statements which cryptocurrency investors interpret as being supportive. In April, Lagarde made comments suggesting that financial institutions and regulators are underestimating the potential influence digital currencies could have within the sector. She cautioned that digital assets are shaking the system. She says, I think the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto, assets, currencies, or whatever, that is clearly shaking the system. The timeline of Lagarde's comments have been positively embraced by the crypto community, and many are hopeful that as ECB president, Lagarde will enact crypto-supportive legislation that will bode well for the growing sector, as that is currently what crypto needs, or at least one of the things that crypto needs is strong regulation, firm rules to abide by for investors, as investors are not going to put, especially institutional investors, are not going to put millions, if not billions of dollars into the crypto system if there is no real guidelines or regulations to follow. They are simply not going to risk billions of dollars doing that, although we do have plenty more institutional investors on the way, and we already have eToro and Ameritrade and things like that adding Bitcoin to their what was previously and will still is a stock market exchange that has been around for a very long time, which will encourage people who otherwise did not buy into cryptocurrencies or do not want to go onto another exchange because they are stock traders and maybe they don't believe in it, or maybe they just don't want to risk their money by putting it on an exchange they don't know about, like Coinbase or Binance or something like that. And when Bitcoin is up by 10% and their stock is not that day, and they see those green 10% numbers, it might make them think twice about buying into crypto. And since it's already on their platform and they already have money on their platform, it will be incredibly convenient for them. So a growing number of institutions are expressing interest in cryptos already. So Facebook, JP Morgan, Bakkt, Fidelity Investments are all on the verge of offering investing and custody services to retail and institutional investors. In other news, the hash rate of Bitcoin is at an all-time high, including much, much higher than the previous bull market and much higher than the high of 2018, which was around September, before the big dump of hash rate in December 2018 when we saw the lowest price of Bitcoin in 2018. It made it all the way down to about $3,150 and that's when the hash rate was essentially bottoming out, but it was still even higher than all of 2017. Now we have the highest hash rate we have seen. And that just means that a lot of miners are putting a lot of risk, yet have a lot of confidence in the market. When that many people are starting to mine again, it is a good sign that Bitcoin price has to increase in price eventually. Also, we have the Bitcoin halvening coming May of 2020. So less than a year to go before Bitcoin halves. The current rewards are 12.5 per block, and that is only 1,800 Bitcoin maximum produced per day, or at least essentially an average of 1,800 per day. And when we do the halvening in May 2020, when that occurs, we will have 6.25 Bitcoin per block reward, and will only be producing 900 Bitcoin per day. And that happens about every 4 years. So we'll go from 900 a day to 450 and so on and so on. So eventually Bitcoin becomes at a point where we literally produce only a few, if not less than, eventually less than 1 Bitcoin per day, which will require all of these miners who are putting all this electricity and all this time into Bitcoin, will require them to sell the Bitcoin for exorbitant amounts in the future. Otherwise, it will just be a gigantic waste of electricity. So eventually the price has to increase, or miners have to essentially capitulate. And when they do, other miners will take their place because the hash rate goes down. So moving on to the market real fast here. CoinMarketCap at $336 billion. We went up about $400 in Bitcoin today, but be warned, that was almost certainly a whale purchase. You can see it in the charts. as we were at about 11,400 Bitcoin, and within just a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, we were at 11,800. That means that was one person or just a group of people buying Bitcoin, and they're trying to create essentially a Bart Simpson on the charts. And they will see after that, hey, is the price going to go up? Are the indicators indicating that it's going to go up or down? And if it's going to go up, they're going to hold that Bitcoin. If it's looking pretty weak and it's going to go down, they will sell that Bitcoin, and we will be right back at 11,400 or less. So just be cautious when you are trading. But that is all I have for you guys. Make sure you subscribe and like to the Zell Hub YouTube channel. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.
So there we have it. Some very interesting things happening in the crypto space as always. And we hope you enjoy that segment from Mr. Mrsotko. And now on to Zell News, which is, hey, who knows, maybe exactly what you guys came for. But we hope that you enjoyed the entire package now. But guys, some exciting things going on with the Zell network, right? We've got the Kamiooka network upgrade. So this covers a multitude of enhancements and adjustments to the blockchain itself. And perhaps maybe, Coach, you can fill us in a little bit on what's new about the mining portion of the Kamiooka upgrade.
Oh, yeah, man. Zell Hash, introducing Zell Hash, a new mining algorithm that, just recently launched, one of a kind, ASIC resistant, and just extremely excited about it. Just watching the whole thing launch this past week. We were all in Colorado on a Zell trip, and we were circling around a computer, counting down, and then just like any other time you have a major hard fork, crap hit the fan. And so it was really, really cool watching the team, the community, troubleshoot and figure everything out over the next few hours after the Kamiooka update was supposed to be live. So Zell Hash has been rocking and kicking, and everybody's pretty excited about it.
I really love what Miles posted in the Discord the night of. And this was because, obviously you were there, and many of you listening now, I'm sure, were watching. We had over 50 people in the live chat on Discord, just kind of listening in on what's going on and getting excited for it. And here's what Miles had to say. Kamiooka is alive and kicking, and we move on.
Absolutely, man. I mean, about 5 hours of just communication, and it was pretty cool seeing some people tweet out about, telling people to come join the Discord just to listen to Miles and some of these other folks from the community just kind of hash this thing out. And so, after about 5 hours, Equihash 125.4, Zell Hash, we were ready. We were knocking down blocks at that point and hadn't looked back since.
Excellent. And what's the significance of this algorithm? What can we say about the, why do we need to switch this algorithm?
I think, one of probably the main things was to stay ahead of the curve in terms of, it's hard to stay ahead of nice hash mining, ASICs, bin ASIC resistance and trying to stay ahead of that, because I think we've kind of seen here, I don't like talking about price, but I think you've seen the shift in the price a little bit because you don't have all the ASICs mining Zell and just dumping ASAP like, big mining farms tend to do. So it's just, I think, staying ahead of the curve. What about you? What do you take away from?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is be proactive, not reactive. And that's really actually been sort of the motto behind Zell Hash, according to the team, at least in the conversations that I've had with them. And a lot of it stems from last year's fork over to Equihash 1445. A lot of people moved over to that algorithm in the wake of the Z9 minis. Remember those ASICs that came out for just straight Equihash?
Right.
And that was a big problem because, of course, at that time, NiceHash was buying up a bunch of those, getting them ready for the network to mine what was it? It was Zcash at that time, and also Zencash. And in fact, Zencash has not forked yet. They're still on that same algorithm, right? Because I guess they like the idea of having more hashing power from the ASICs. And to each their own, right? But for us, we favor GPUs. We've always favored GPUs. And we want to make sure that we continue to uphold that mantra, because that is the only way to remain fully decentralized. I mean, as decentralized as networks can get, you need, consumer grade equipment that anybody can get their hands on and anybody can mine. And that's the idea. So we tried to make it so that even as something, and this is going back a couple years now, the GTX 1060 3 gig cards, although I know some people did experience some troubles with Windows 10. You can't mine the algorithm with a 1060 3 gig in Windows. It's a driver issue. It allocates memory in a strange way that makes it impossible to mine it in Windows, but it will work on Linux machines. So that's where Hive OS and some of the other Linux, like Simple OS or Simple Miner, those are going to be better options for the 1060 rigs. So if you're running 1060s, you can still do it with Zell. You might have to do a little bit of reconfiguring, get it set up with Hive OS. But yeah, I mean, that's the idea. We still want to favor those GPU miners.
Absolutely, man. And thanks for pointing that out about the 1063 gigabytes. I know initially that was kind of some of the fuss from some of the community, but just dive into Hive OS. Honestly, I got a crash course on it while we were in Colorado because I'm not familiar with it. It's pretty easy kind of once you immerse yourself in it just a little bit, but definitely worth it if you want to put those 1060 3 gigabyte cards to work.
Okay, so Zellhash is not the only thing though, right? We've got some other updates that came along with the Kamiooka upgrade. So what's it going to do for the Zell nodes?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, make sure if you're a Zell node operator that you're updating your nodes. I know we did send out a Medium article on how to update it to I think I can't recall exactly what the number was there, but we have sent out another update here. And we'll make sure to link that most latest Medium article to update your nodes to make sure that you're getting your proper payouts and supporting the network and everything's on the same chain as it should be.
Yeah, definitely. You got to work on that. You got to make sure that it's running the latest version, right? And if you do a check on this, we've got commands that you can type in your Linux box. You can type in a command and look for the protocol version, which would be 170013. That's the one that we're looking for. Yeah. Now, in addition to that, though, the whole reason why this is so significant is because there have been some sporadic rewards out there, and this is to really help level the playing field, if you will. There's always going to be a little bit of a random factor in terms of nodes choosing a winner for a block reward. However, it's going to be a lot more consistent now, which is really part of the upgrade. They wanted to make sure it was fair, balanced, and consistent.
Absolutely, accurate rewards. We can't argue with that, can we?
No, this is, I think, the latest and certainly the greatest updates so far, because like I said, it's proactive, not reactive.
All right. And Goose, you got anything else, man?
Yeah, one last thing, and this is for especially all of our hardcore supporters. If you haven't already, please give us a subscribe on the Zell Hub YouTube channel. We need to get to at least 1,000 subs there so that we can monetize that channel. And the reason we want to monetize it is so that we can play the YouTube algorithm. We know that YouTube has more incentive to recommend our videos if they're going to get something for it through monetization. Okay. Just get us up to that 1,000 sub count and we'll be good to go. And from there, if other people want to sub, of course, totally welcome to do so. But we just want to make sure we hit that minimum so that we can get verified and start monetizing those videos. And this, I think, will get more coverage or more exposure for whatever it is that we're trying to share on the Zell Hub.
That is awesome. Go click that subscribe button, and also be sure to subscribe to Mrsotko Cryptocurrency on YouTube. And for all things Zell, visit Zell.network. Until next time, you've been inside the core, powered by Zell.